Theogony, a new translation by MLWest. From the muses of Helicon, let us begin our singing, that haunt Helicon's great and holy mountain and dance on their soft feet, round the violet dark spring and the altar of the mighty son of Kronos. And when they have bathed their gentle skin in Permessus, or the horse's fountain, or holy Olmeos, then on the highest slope of Helicon they make their dances, fair and lovely, stepping lively in time. From there they go forth, veiled in thick mist, and walk by night, uttering beautiful voice, singing of Zeus, who bears the Aegis, and the lady Hera of Argos, who walks in sandals of gold, and the daughter of Zeus, the Aegis-bearer, pale-eyed Athene, and Phoebus Apollo, and Artemis the archer, and Poseidon, earth-charioted shaker of the earth, and holy Themis, and Aphrodite of curling lashes, and Hebe of gold diadem, and fair Dione, Leto, Iapetus, and crooked schemer Kronos, dawn, mighty sun, and shining moon, earth, great Oceanus, and dark night, and the rest of the holy family of immortals who are forever. And once they taught Hesiod fine singing, as he tended his lambs below holy Helicon. This is what the goddesses said to me first, the Olympian muses, daughters of Zeus, the Aegis-bearer. Shepherds that camp in the wild, disgraces, merest bellies. We know to tell many lies that sound like truth, but we know to sing reality when we will. So said mighty Zeus's daughters, the sure of utterance, and they gave me a branch of springing bay to pluck for a staff, a handsome one, and they breathed into me wondrous voice, so that I should celebrate things of the future and things that were aforetime. And they told me to sing of the family of blessed ones who are forever, and first and last always to sing of themselves. But what is my business round tree or rock? Come now, from the muses let us begin, who with their singing delight the great mind of Zeus, the father in Olympus, and they tell of what is, and what shall be, and what was aforetime, voices in unison. The words flow untiring from their mouths, and sweet, and the hall of their father, loud thundering Zeus, rejoice at the goddess's clear voice spread abroad, and the peak of snowy Olympus rings, and the mansions of the gods. Making divine utterance, they celebrate first in their song the august family of gods from the beginning, those whom earth and broad heaven begot, and the gods that were born from them, givers of blessings. Second, they sing of Zeus, father of gods and men, how far the highest of the gods he is, and the greatest in power. And again they sing of the family of men and of powerful giants, to delight the mind of Zeus in Olympus, those Olympian muses, daughters of Zeus, the Aegis-bearer. They were born in Pieria, to memory, queen of the foothills of Eleutherae, in union with the father, the son of Kronos, oblivion of ills and respite from cares. 9 nights Zeus, the resourceful, lay with her, going up to her holy bed far away from the immortals. And when the time came, as the months passed away and the seasons turned about, and the long tale of days was completed, she bore 9 daughters. all of one mind, their carefree hearts set on song. Not far from the topmost peak of snowy Olympus. There they have their gleaming dancing places and their fair mansions and the Graces, and desire dwell beside them in feasting. Lovely is the sound they produce from their mouths as they sing and celebrate the ordinances and the good ways of all the immortals, making delightful utterance. So then they went to Olympus, glorying in their beautiful voices, singing divinely. The dark earth rang round them as they sang, and from their dancing feet came a lovely estampie as they went to their father. He is king in heaven. He is the thunder and the smoking bolt, since he defeated his father Kronos by strength. He has appointed their ordinances to the immortals, well in each detail, and assigned them their privileges. This is what the Muses sang, who dwell in Olympus, the 9 daughters born of great Zeus. Clio and Euterpe and Thalia and Melpomene, Terpsichore and Erato and Polyhymnia, and Urania and Calliope, who is chief among them all. For she even attends august kings, whomsoever great Zeus's daughters favour among the kings that Zeus fosters, and turn their eyes upon him at his birth. Upon his tongue they shed sweet dew, and out of his mouth the words flow honeyed, and the people all look to him as he decides what is to prevail with his straight judgments. His word is sure, and expertly he makes a quick end of even a great dispute. This is why there are prudent kings. When the peoples are wronged in their dealings, they make amends for them with ease, persuading them with gentle words. When he goes among a gathering, they seek his favour with conciliatory reverence, as if he were a god, and he stands out among the crowd. Such is the Muses' holy gift to men. For while it is from the Muses and far-shooting Apollo that men are singers and citharists on earth, and from Zeus that they are kings, every man is fortunate whom the Muses love. The voice flows sweet from his lips. Though a man's heart be withered with the grief of a recent bereavement, if then a singer, the servant of the Muses, sings of the famous deeds of men of old, and of the blessed gods who dwell in Olympus, he soon forgets his sorrows and thinks no more of his family troubles, quickly diverted by the goddess's gifts. Farewell now, children of Zeus, grant me delightful singing. Celebrate the holy family of immortals who are forever, those who were born of earth and heaven and of black night, those whom the briny sea fostered, and tell how the gods and the earth were born in the first place, and the rivers, and the boundless sea with its furious swell, and the shining stars and broad firmament above, and how they shared out their estate, and how they divided their privileges, and how they gained all the glens of Olympus in the first place. Tell me this from the beginning, Muses who dwell in Olympus, and say what thing among them came first. First came the chasm, and then the broad-breasted earth, secure seat forever all the immortals who occupy the peak of snowy Olympus, the misty Tartara, in a remote recess of a broad-paved earth, and Eros, the most handsome among the immortal gods, dissolver of flesh, who overcomes the reason and purpose in the breasts of all gods and all men. Out of the chasm came Erebos, and dark night, and from night in turn came bright air and day, whom she bore in shared intimacy with Erebos. Earth bore, first of all, one equal to herself, starry heaven, so that he should cover her all about, to be a secure seat forever for the blessed gods. And she bore the long mountains, pleasant haunts of the goddess, haunts of the goddesses, the nymphs who dwell in the mountain glens. And she bore also the undraining sea, and its furious swell, not in union of love, but then bedded with heaven, she bore deep swirling Oceanus. Koios and Kreos, and Hyperion and Iapetos, Thea and Re, and Themis and Memory, Phoebe of gold diadem and lovely Tethys. After them, the youngest was born, crooked schemer Kronos, most fearsome of children, who loathed his lusty father. And again she bore the proud-hearted Cyclops, thunderer, lightener, and white bolt stern of spirit, who gave Zeus his thunder and forged his thunderbolt. In other respects they were like the gods, but a single eye lay in the middle of their forehead, and they had the surname of circle eyes, because of this one circular eye that lay on their forehead. And strength and force and resource were upon their works. And again there were born of earth and heaven 3 more sons, mighty and stern, not to be spoken of, Kotos, Briareos, Gyges, overbearing children. 100 arms sprang from their shoulders, unshapen hulks. 50 heads grew from the shoulders of each of them upon their stalwart bodies, and strength boundless and powerful was upon their mighty form. For all those that were born of earth and heaven were the most fearsome of children, and their own father loathed them from the beginning. As soon as each of them was born, he hid them away in a cavern of earth, and would not let them into the light. And he took pleasure in the wicked work, did heaven, while the huge earth was tight-pressed inside and groaned. She thought up a nasty trick. Without delay she created the element of grey adamant, and made a great reaping hook, and showed it to her dear children, and spoke, to give them courage, sore at heart as she was. Children of mine, and of an evil father, I wonder whether you would like to do as I say. We could get redress for your father's cruelty. After all, he began it by his ugly behaviour. So she spoke, but they were all seized by fear, and none of them uttered a word. But the great crooked schemer Kronos took courage, and soon replied to his good mother. Mother, I would undertake this task and accomplish it. I am not afraid of our unspeakable father. After all, he began it by his ugly behaviour. So he spoke, and mighty earth was delighted. She set him, hidden in ambush, put the sharp-toothed sickle into his hand, and explained the whole stratagem to him. Great heaven came, bringing on the night, and desirous of love, he spread himself over earth, stretched out in every direction. His son reached out from the ambush with his left hand, and with his right he took the huge sickle with its long row of sharp teeth, and quickly cut off his father's genitals, and flung them behind him to fly where they might. They were not released from his hand to no effect, for all the drops of blood that flew off were received by the earth. And as the years went round, she bore the powerful Erinyes and the great giants, in gleaming armour with long spears in their hands, and the nymphs, whom they call Meliae, on the boundless earth. As for the genitals, just as he first cut them off with his instrument of adamant and threw them from the land into the surging sea, even so they were carried on the waves for a long time. About them a white foam grew from the immortal flesh, and in it a girl formed. First she approached holy Cythera. From there she came to sea-girt Cyprus, and out stepped a modest and beautiful goddess, and the grass began to grow all round beneath her slender feet. Gods and men call her Aphrodite because she was formed in foam, and Cytherea because she approached Cytherea, and Cyprus born because she was born in wave-washed Cyprus, and genial because she appeared out of genitals. Eros and fair Desire attended her birth and accompanied her as she went to join the family of gods, and this has been her allotted province from the beginning among men and immortal gods. The whisperings of girls, smiles, deceptions, sweet pleasure, intimacy, and tenderness. As for those children of great heaven, their father, who begot them, railed at them and gave them the surname of Titans, saying that straining tight in wickedness they had done a serious thing, and that he had a title to revenge it later. Night bore hateful doom and dark fate and death. She bore sleep. She bore the tribe of dreams, and secondly, gloomy night bore cavil and painful misery, bedded with none of the gods and the Hesperides, who mind fair golden apples beyond the famed Oceanus, and the trees that bear the fruit, and the fates she bore, and the mercilessly punishing Furies, who prosecute the transgressions of men and gods. Never do the goddesses cease from their terrible wrath until they have paid the sinner his due. And baleful night gave birth to resentment, also an affliction for mortal men, and after her she bore deceit and intimacy, and accursed old age, and she bore hard-hearted strife. Hateful strife, born painful toil, neglect, starvation, and tearful pain, battles, combats, bloodshed and slaughter, quarrels, lies, pretences and arguments, disorder, disaster, neighbours to each other, and oath. Who most harms men on earth? When someone knowingly swears false. Sea fathered Nereus, reliable and true, the eldest of his children, and they call the old man so because he is ne'er failing and kindly, and does not neglect what is right, but has a just and kindly mind. Then again he fathered great Thaumas and noble Phorcys in union with earth, and Ceto of the lovely cheeks, and Eurybia, who had a spirit of adamant in her breast. From Nereus were born numerous goddess children in the undraining sea, and from Doris, lovely-haired daughter of Oceanus, the unending river. Protho, Eucrant, Sao, Amphitrite, Eudora, Thetis, Galen, and Glauce, Simtho, swift Spio, and lovely Thalia, Pasithea, Erato, and rosy Eunice, delightful Melite, Eulymene and Agar, Doto and Proto, Ferosa and Dynamene, Nesea and Actea and Promedia, Doris, Panope, and beautiful Galatia, lovely Hippotho and rosy-armed Hippono, Cymodos, who stills with ease the waves in the misty sea and the gusts of the strong blowing winds, with Cymatolege, and fair-ankled Amphitrite, Simo and Elone, and fair diadem Halimede, smiling Glauconome and Pontoporia, Leagora and Eugora, and Laomedia, Polyno, Autono, and Lysianassa, Eurane, lovely of build and perfect to behold, and Samanth, of charming body and gracious Menip, Neso, Eupomp, Themisto, Prono, and Nemertith, who has her immortal father's manner. These were born of the excellent Nereus, 50 daughters of excellent attainments. Thaumas married a daughter of deep-flowing Oceanus, Electra. She bore swift Iris and the lovely-haired Harpies, Aello and Ossipita, who race with the gusts of winds and with the birds on swift wings, for they hurl on high. To Phorcys, Ceto bore old women fair of cheek, white-haired from birth. The immortal gods and men who walk on earth call them the old women. Fair-robed Pemphredo and saffron-robed Enyo, and she bore the Gorgons, who live beyond famed Oceanus at the world's edge, hard by night, where the clear-voiced Hesperides are, Stheno, Euryale, and Medusa, who suffered a grim fate. She was mortal, but the other two immortal and ageless. And with her the god of the sable locks lay in a soft meadow among the spring flowers. And when Perseus cut off her head from her neck, out sprang great Chrysaor, and the horse Pegasus. He was so named because he was born beside the waters of Oceanus, while the other was born with a golden sword in his hands. Pegasus flew away and left the earth, the mother of flocks, and came to the immortals, and he lives in Zeus's palace, bringing thunder and lightning for Zeus the resourceful. Chrysaor fathered three-headed Geronius, in union with Callirhoe, daughter of famed Oceanus. The mighty Heracles despoiled him beside the shambling oxen in sea-girt Erythea, on the day when he drove off the broad-browed bulls to holy Tiryns. After he had crossed Oceanus and killed Orthos and the herdsman Eurytion in the misty ranch beyond famed Oceanus. But Ceto bore another impossible monster, not like mortal men, nor the immortal gods. In a hollow cave, the wondrous Echidna, stern of heart, who is half a nymph with fair cheeks and curling lashes, and half a monstrous serpent, terrible and huge, glinting and ravening down in the hidden depths of the numinous earth. There she has her cave, down below, in a hollow cliff, far away from the immortal gods and mortal men, where the gods allotted her a home to dwell. Grim Echidna is confined underground in the land of Arimi, immortal nymph and ageless for all time. And they say Typhaon was united with her in intimacy, terrible lawless brute with curly lashed nymph, and she conceived and bore stern-hearted children. First she gave birth to Orthos, a dog for Geryoneus. Secondly, she bore an impossible creature, unspeakable, the ravening Cerberus, Hades' dog, with a voice of bronze, 50-headed, shy of no one, and powerful. Thirdly, she gave birth to the baleful Hydra of Lerna, whom the white-armed goddess Hera fostered in her insatiable wrath towards the mighty Heracles. But the son of Zeus, called son of Amphitryon, Heracles slew it with merciless bronze and the help of the warlike Iolaus and the advice of Athene, driver of armies. But she bore Chimera, who breathed invincible fire, a terrible great creature, swift-footed and strong. She had 3 heads, one of a fierce lion, one of a she-goat, and one of a powerful serpent. She was killed by noble Bellerophon with Pegasus, but she, surrendering to Orthos, bore the baneful Sphinx, deaf to the people of Cadmus, and the Nemean lion, which Hera, Zeus's honoured wife, fostered and settled in the foothills of Nemea. An affliction for men, there it lived, harassing the local peoples, monarch of Tritos in Nemea, and of Apeseth. But mighty Heracles' force overcame it. The youngest that Ceto bore, in shared intimacy with Phorcys, was the fearful serpent that guards the golden apples in a hidden region in the dark earth at its vasty limits. That is the descendants of Ceto and Phorcys. Tethys bore to Oceanus the swirling rivers. The Nile, Alpheus, the deep swirling Eridanus. Strymon, Meander, the fair flowing Danube. Phasis, Rhesus, and silver swirling Achilleus. Nessus, Rhodius, Halicmon, Heptoporus, Granicus, and Aspis, and wondrous Simois. Peneus, Hermus, and flowing Chaisus. Great Sangarius, Ladon, Parthenius, Eunice, and Ardescus, and wondrous Scamander. And she bore the holy family of nymphs, who nurture men on earth with the Lord Apollo and the rivers, having this function allotted by Zeus. Peitho and Admete, Vianth and Electra, Doris, Primno, and the godlike Urania, Hippo, Clymene, Rhodea, and Caliro, Zeuxocletia, Idia, and Pasitho, Plexora and Galaxora, lovely Dione, Melibosis, Tho, and fair Polydora, Circeus of lovely form, Pluto of big dark eyes, Perseus, Eanira, Acast, and Xanth, lovely Petrea, Menesto, Europa, Metis, Euronome, and saffron-robed Telesto, Chryseis, Asia, and desirable Calypso, Eudora, Tyche, Amphiro, and Osyro, and Styx, who is chief among them all. These were the eldest daughters born of Oceanus and Tethys, but there are many others too. For there are 3,000 graceful ankled oceanids, widely scattered. They haunt the earth and the depths of the waters, everywhere alike, shining goddess children. And there are as many again of rivers that flow with splashing sound, sons of Oceanus that Lady Tethys bore. It is hard for a mortal man to tell the names of them all, but each of those peoples know them that live near them. Thea, surrendering in intimacy to Hyperion, gave birth to the mighty sun and shining moon, and to Dawn, who makes light for all, who dwell on earth, and for the immortal gods who live in the wide heaven. With Creos, Eurybia shared intimacy, noble among goddesses, and bore great Astraeus and Pallas and Perses, who shone out amongst them all for his wisdom. To Astraeus, dawn bore the stern-hearted winds, the clearing westerly and the rushing northerly and the southerly. Goddess with god bedded in love, and after them the mist-born one gave birth to the morning star and the shining stars that are heaven's garland. Styx, daughter of Oceanus, in union with Pallas, bore aspiration and trim-ankled victory in her halls, and power and strength, outstanding children who will not live apart from Zeus, nor take their seats, nor go except where the god goes before them, but they sit forever beside heavy booming Zeus, for so did Styx, perennial. Oceanid determine on that day when the Olympian Lightner called all the immortal gods to long Olympus, and said that whoever of the gods would fight the Titans with him, he would not smite any of them down from his privileges, but each would keep the honour he had before among the immortal gods. And he said that whoever was unhonoured by Cronos and unprivileged, he would set him in the path of honour and privileges as is right and proper. And the first to come to Olympus was perennial Styx with her children, on the advice of her dear father, and Zeus honoured her and granted her exceptional favours. He made her to be the great oath of the gods, and her children to dwell with him for all time. In the same way he fulfilled his promises to all throughout, while he himself has the power and the kingdom. Phoebe, came to Koios' bed of delight, and conceiving then, goddess with god, united in intimacy, she bore sable-robed Leto, ever gentle, mild towards men and immortal gods, gentle from the beginning. Most kindly in Olympus she bore also Asteria, whom is good to speak of, whom Perses later brought home to his great house to be known as his dear wife. There she conceived and bore Hecate, whom Zeus, son of Cronos, honoured above all others, granting her magnificent privileges, a share both of the earth and of the undraining sea. From the starry heaven, too, she has a portion of honour, and she is the most honoured by the immortal gods. Even now, when an earthly man sacrifices fine offerings, makes ritual propitiation, he invokes Hecate, and great favour readily attends him, if the goddess is well disposed to his prayers, and she grants him prosperity, for she has the power to do so. From all those that were born of earth and heaven were allotted honour. She has a share. The son of Cronos did not oppress her, or take away from her anything of what she had been allotted among the Titans, the former gods. She keeps it even as the distribution was first made from the beginning. Nor does her being an only child mean that the goddess has received less honour and privilege in earth and sky and sea, but much more, because Zeus honours her. By whomsoever she chooses, she comes and stands in full presence and helps him. In time of judgments, she sits beside august kings in the public gathering. The man of her choice shines out among the crowd. When men arm themselves for battle and slaughter, there the goddess comes and stands by whichever she chooses to grant victory with her favour and hands them glory. She is good for standing by cavalry when she chooses to, and good again when men compete in athletic contests. There the goddess comes and stands by them too and helps them. And victorious by his strength and power, a man wins the fine prize with ease and joy, conferring glory on his parents. To those too who till the surly grey, and who pray to Hecate and the strong thundering shaker of earth, easily the proud goddess grants a large catch, but easily she takes it away when it is sighted, if she so chooses. She is good for increasing the livestock in the folds, together with Hermes, herds of cattle and broad herds of goats and flocks of fleecy sheep. If so she chooses, she makes great out of small and less out of many. So even though she is an only child on her mother's side, she is honoured among the immortals with every privilege. And the son of Cronos made her a fosterer of the young, those whose eyes since her birth have seen the light of far-sighted day. She has been a nurse of the young from the beginning, and these are her privileges. Rhea, surrendering to Cronos, bore resplendent children, Hestia, Demeter, and gold-sandaled Hera, mighty Hades who lives under the earth, merciless of heart and booming shaker of earth, and Zeus, the resourceful, father of gods and men, under whose thunder the broad earth is shaken. The others great Cronos swallowed. Each of them reached their mother's knees from her holy womb. His purpose was that none but he of the lordly celestials should have the royal station among the immortals. For he learned from earth and starry heaven that it was fated for him to be defeated by his own child, powerful though he was, through the designs of great Zeus. So he kept no blind man's watch, but observed and swallowed his children. Rhea suffered terrible grief. But when she was about to give birth to Zeus, father of gods and men, then she begged her dear parents, earth and starry heaven, to devise a plan so that she could bear her child in secrecy and make Cronos pay her father's furies. And those of the children he had been swallowing, great Cronos, the crooked scheming, and they took heed and did as their dear daughter asked, and told her all that was fated to come to pass concerning Cronos the king and his stern-hearted son. And they told her to go to Lyctos, to the rich Cretan land, where she was due to bear the youngest of her children, great Zeus. Mighty earth accepted him from her rear and nurture in broad Crete. There she came carrying him through the swift dark night, not stopping until she came to Lyctos. And taking him in her arms, she hid him in a cave hard of access, down in the secret places of numinous earth, in the Aegean mountain with its dense woods. Then she wrapped a large stone in baby cloth and delivered it to the Son of Heaven, the great Lord, King of the former gods. Seizing it in his hands, he put it away in his belly, the brute, not realizing that thereafter not a stone but his son remained, secure and invincible, who before long was to defeat him by physical strength and drive him from his high station, himself to be the king among mortals. Immortals. Rapidly, when the Lord's courage and resplendent limbs grew, and when the due time came round, the great crooked schemer Cronos, tricked by the cunning counsel of earth, defeated by his son's strength and stratagem, brought his brood back up. The first thing he spewed out was the stone, the last he swallowed. Zeus fixed it in the wide-pathed earth at Holy Python, in the glens of Parnassus, to be a monument thereafter and a thing of wonder for mortal men. He set his father's brothers free from their baneful bondage, the sons of heaven whom their father in his folly had imprisoned, and they returned thanks for his goodness by giving him thunder and lightning in the smoking bolt, which mighty earth had kept hidden up until then. With these to rely on, he is lord of mortals and immortals. Iapetos married a trim-ankled Oceanid nymph, Clymene, and went up to share one bed with her. She bore him Atlas, a stern-hearted child, and proud Menoetios and Prometheus, subtle, shifting, scheming, and misguided Epimetheus, who from the start turned out a disaster to men who live by bread, since he was the original one who received the moulded maiden from Zeus for a wife. The lawless Menoetius was sent down to the darkness by wide-seeing Zeus with a smoking bolt because of his wickedness and overbearing strength. Atlas, under strong constraint, holds up the broad sky with his head and tireless hands, standing at the ends of the earth, away by the clear-voiced Hesperides, for Zeus, the resourceful, assigned him this lot. And he bound crafty Prometheus in inescapable fetters, grievous bonds, driving them through the middle of a pillar. And he set a great winged eagle upon him, and it fed on his immortal liver, which grew the same amount each way at night as the great bird ate in the course of the day. It was killed by trim-ankled Alcmene's valiant son Heracles, who saved the son of Iapetos from that affliction and set him free from his distress. Olympian Zeus, who rules on high, was not unwilling, intending that the fame of Heracles, born at Thebes, should be still greater than before upon the wide pastured earth. This is why he did reverence and honour to his eminent son. And, irate though he was, ended the anger he had before, which was because Prometheus pitted his wits against the mighty son of Cronos. For when gods and mortal men were coming to a settlement at Mecone, he had carved up a big ox and served it in such a way as to mislead Zeus. For him, he laid out meat and entrails rich with fat in the hide, covering it in the ox's stomach, while for men he laid out the ox's white bones, which he arranged carefully for a cunning trick by covering them in glistening fat. Then the father of the gods and men said to him, "Son of Iapetos, outstanding among all the lords, my good sir, how unfairly you have divided the portions." So chided Zeus, whose designs did not fail, but crooked schemer Prometheus, smiling quietly and intent on deceit, said to him, "Zeus, greatest and most glorious of the eternal fathers, choose then whichever of them the spirit in your breast bids you." He spoke meaning trickery, but Zeus, whose designs did not fail, recognized the trick and did not mistake it. And he boded evil in his heart for mortal men, which was to come to pass. With both hands he took up the white fat, and he grew angry about the lungs, and wrath reached him to the spirit. And he saw the white ox bones set for a cunning trick. Ever since that, the peoples on earth have burned white bones for the immortals on aromatic altars. In great ire, Zeus, the cloud-gatherer, said to him, "Son of Iapetos, clever above all others, my good sir, then you are still intent on deceit." So spoke Zeus in his wrath, whose designs do not fail. And after that, with his anger ever in mind, he would not give to the ash trees the power of untiring fire for mortal men who live on earth. But the noble son of Iapetos outwitted him by stealing the far-beaconing flare of untiring fire in the tube of a fennel. And it stung high-thundering Zeus deep to the spirit, and angered him in his heart when he saw the far-beaconing flare of fire among mankind.